thanks for coming in to talk to us today.
So good.
And tell us a bit about your new company, Instruct3D.
So Instruct3D writes machine instructions for metal 3D printers. We are trying to bring the cost down on the process and make the process more reliable and navigatable for aerospace qualification, primarily.
Okay, and what's different between this software and software that you can get that's on the market at present?
So currently, the process is run with static parameters. People develop their process on a cube and then look at that under a microscope and say, that's the process window I want to hit. So in laser-based additive manufacturing, you've got a load of choices about your parameters. So laser power, laser speed, hatch distance, layer thickness, all these kind of parameters, and they massively affect your end product quality. And that's okay for relatively simple shapes, but the technology lends itself to really complex shapes. And really complex shapes, you get really complex thermal histories based on the scan path, and that affects your end microstructure. So as metallurgists, we look at that and say your mechanical properties are going to vary based on your geometry. And that's a problem we're trying to solve. By varying the laser power input, we can create a more homogeneous end microstructure.
What type of materials is your software set up for?
Primarily, it's material independent, but we've focused on materials that are common in additive manufacturing. So stainless steels, nickels, nickel-based superalloys, and titanium.
Okay, and what industries are the target companies in?
So our beachhead market is service bureaus who cater to a whole wide range of industries, predominantly oil and gas, medical, space and defence, and aerospace.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And when was the company set up?
The company was set up in around May 2024. So
quite recent.
Yeah, quite recent. Officially, we've got money into the business only recently. But yeah, we've been following the commercialisation process, and that's fairly standard.
What was your own personal motivation in starting up a business?
Oh, that's a good question. I quite like being able to throw myself fully into something, and if I'm going to do that, I want to see the reward of that. And I think starting a company is a really good way of doing that. It's kind of me and the team, how well we do our jobs and how hard we work is reflected in the outcome, and I quite like that. I think I would struggle in a big organisation where maybe that gets lost a little bit in the kind of operational, like kind of a solo contributor is almost maybe a problem in a big organisation. Was my view,
Sure.
and I want to focus on driving something forwards.
So tell me, in the time that the company has been getting established and everything like that, you've obviously been doing different things to the things you did previously.
Yeah.
So how has your life changed since the idea of the company was mooted and now you've got it up and running?
So yeah, I was trying to balance my PhD studies with the market discovery activity, which was challenging. Now I'm trying to focus more on the business and spending more of my time focused on the business. Life's changed. Maybe the office has changed. We've got a new office recently, so that's a more day-to-day change. But workload-wise, it's more talking to customers rather than doing the science. I still do a lot of the science in terms of like trying to steer the technical progress and technical delivery, but it's more my angle of looking at things is how does a customer see it, what does a customer want from us, and trying to tell a deeply technical team, steer them in the direction that a customer wants.
So tell us a bit about the product. It will be a software product?
Yeah, so it's a software product.
Okay,
yeah.
and will it run on different additive manufacturing platforms, or is it limited to a number?
So the process is the same between different machines. A laser melts metal. The instructions that the machine wants to receive are slightly different. And depending on how different machine manufacturers will allow different amount of access to their machines. So that's a big part of our work, is building relationships with the different manufacturers. But luckily for us, there's a few big ones have a massive market share. So we're trying to integrate this year with the top 3, and they've probably got a 60-70% market share. So,
and what are the key milestones ahead of you as you develop the company?
So the next big one is getting what we've proven on our lab machines into a more industrially relevant machine. So the machines we've got, as I say, are the same process. They work with lasers melting metal, but no one in the industry uses them because they're quite open and quite flexible for lab-based research. And the company who we've got the machines of has marketed themselves to that market, whereas a production customer wouldn't pick the same machine. So we need to show what we've shown in the lab working on production machines.
So how do you attack that challenge? How do you, where do you get the funding from to do that?
So we've just received a lot of funding from Innovate UK. They have a program called the iCure program. It's the commercialisation team put us onto it, and we've been right through there. They've got different stages of it, and different stages pay for different parts of work. So the first stage was called iCure Explore. That does what it says on the tin. They pay for you to go and explore the market for 3 months. So I took 3 months out of my studies and went and travelled around, which was quite nice. It was the first time I've properly been travelling around talking to customers. The kind of people you'd imagine, this is another benefit, I guess, of starting a company, is you get to speak to the doers in different companies, and you're going to go to speak to what I would consider like people I really admired and look up to their work, and they're suddenly interested in talking to you and talking about your work, which is quite cool. So I've spent a lot of time on the west coast of America, where manufacturing is really becoming a key industry and key, they're focused on re-onshoring, and West Coast America is really where that's moving at the moment.
What about talking to investors? Who does the talking to investors, current, future investors?
That's me.
Okay. How do you find that?
I find it challenging, to be honest. I think the level of... So the UK investment scene is managed by a lot of financiers rather than people who've been there and done it. So they want to see... So the general progression of an investment person in the UK is go and work for one of the big 4, maybe advisory firms, then get a job in private equity maybe, then move over to venture capital or so forth. So they're accountants and similar. And they want to see 4 or 5 year financial projections, where I'm trying to work out what's happening next week, next month, and trying to build a financial plan on yet unproven technology is really difficult. So,
and how has the university helped you to surmount these challenges?
The university's been really helpful, to be honest. I kind of, as the entrepreneurial lead, maybe the rest of your team doesn't necessarily understand the problems you're dealing with. They more understand the technical problems. And so to have someone you can talk to and who's always there on the end of the phone to understand and discuss your problems with you, who fundamentally gets the problems you're dealing with, is really useful. I've been working with Sam Trotter from Commercialisation, and I speak to him 2-3 times a week at the moment. He really has been helpful.
Do you feel that the university is proud of the company?
I guess, do I feel the university is proud of the company? I haven't really seen that yet. I haven't seen... but I guess we've not existed for very long. I would hope. I see the company and how they talk about Opteran, how they talk about Flux, both of which founders have been very helpful to me.
Great.
And I hope that one day we can be that kind of poster boy of commercialisation, but we've got to actually do something first. So,
sure.
So I think we need to earn that respect.
Early stages.
We need to earn that respect.
Yeah. What would your ambitions be for the company? How big do you think Instruct3D can be?
So we want to, our kind of vision for the business really is to be the engineering has always been a kind of barrier, so manufacturing has always been a barrier on engineering progress. So it's always been getting to the manufacturing point and realizing the things you wanted to do in the engineering design weren't possible. And that's particularly true in metals. So you can't get a tool head in there, or you can't get an Allen key around that bolt. We want to kind of give that information to a design engineer, and particularly in mechanical properties. So if you're designing a system, you need to know the performance of the material, and now that's currently dealt with in a big kind of safety factor on a material, and we want to kind of make that communication between manufacturing and design engineers really seamless. So when you're in a CAD package and you kind of CAD package of the future where you're using generative design and all that kind of stuff to engineer structures, that design package knows about the manufacturing constraints, and it knows what mechanical properties are going to be resultant, and then we fit in the middle, and we're not even seen. We're kind of the go-to way to get a build file, a thing you can see on your computer into a machine that then manufactures the part. And that whole process is really kind of disjointed at the moment.
It strikes me that what the company needs, this is just my own experience, is you need a reference customer.
Yeah.
You need some household name that the bean counters will recognise.
Yeah.
And say, oh wow, the guys are after getting a contract with whoever.
Yeah.
I mean, have you any idea who that company might be, or who would you target?
Yes. So primarily we're in. We've got two for the two different projects we're working on. So the speed improvement, we are after paid trials this year. So we're proving it to a level where we can go after paid trials, and it's handy that our chairman used to be the CEO of one of the biggest contract manufacturers in the UK. So that's our beachhead market, very first customer we're going after, and then for the thermal management, mechanical properties improvement part is an aerospace customer, who we've got big links through with Ian's doing some research with at the moment. Yeah. So our professor, chief scientific officer, has got a big ATI project with this customer, and we're trying to prove to them enough so that we can go after our own SME ATI program.
Great.
And hopefully that will convince the investors enough.
Do you see any limitation in our location here in Sheffield? Or how do you feel about the company growing here in Sheffield?
Personally, I'm massively enthusiastic and optimistic about Sheffield's startups ecosystem, especially in the manufacturing sector. I see a lot of movement in the manufacturing sector around entrepreneurship, and being a metallurgist by trade, I kind of really am on a personal kind of mission to bring back manufacturing to the UK. But manufacturing can't be like it was when it made the UK. It can't be done in the same ways. It needs to be done intelligently. So some statistics in terms of we currently manufacture a lot of our metals in Russia, China, those geopolitical issues at the moment, and also kind of workforce issues. China's working population is going to massively decrease over the next 10 years. I think it's something like 40% it's going to decrease by. So we need to find a way that we can reshore our own supply chains and really strengthen our kind of manufacturing base. And I see Sheffield being a really good place to do that. Look at what's happening with Forge Masters, the investment they're receiving. And that's because the UK is realising we're trying to build submarines where we're going to manufacture the parts. It doesn't really make sense to be buying it off someone where we can't secure that supply chain. But there's lots of different sectors that need that, and I think Sheffield's really kind of ready to go to accept that challenge.
And of course, the university is recognised nationally and internationally as being very strong in advanced materials and in advanced manufacturing with the Royce Institute and the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre with the AMRC. Do you have connections with the AMRC? Yeah. Do you see that as being important for the company's growth?
You mentioned kind of big ticket customers and what they do to investors. The AMRC's got a load of those who are listening to what they're doing. So a case study with the AMRC will hopefully unlock a few conversations there. We can prove some benefit and some value added.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Henry.
No worries.
I can assure you the university, at least this part of the university, is very proud of Instruct3D.
Thank you.
And we wish you the very best in your journey.
Cheers.
Thank you.